I recently made a very scary discovery for myself that turned my world upside down. My beloved wife, with whom we have been together for quite a long time, brazenly cheated on me. I hired a gardener who was required to come and tend our garden twice a week, and damn it, she did it to him. It's especially disturbing that she decided to cheat on someone I hired, and the worst part is that the gardener is only 25 years old, 8 years younger than my wife. I'm Bob, 34 years old, and I've been married to Vanessa, who is 33, for over 5 years. The cheating scandal with a younger man is the most despicable act I could imagine. It's even more repulsive since I witnessed it firsthand. The gardener has been working for us for over 2 years, making me wonder if this affair has been ongoing for longer than I suspected. About a month ago, I noticed my wife engaging in suspicious activities. Being attentive, I decided to investigate and found her uncomfortably close to the gardener. Initially, I gave them the benefit of the doubt, but over time I realized I had been naive. A week ago, I started sneaking into the house after work, determined to uncover the truth. My efforts paid off, and I discovered hidden secrets that shocked me. My mother used to say that sometimes the more you look, the harder it is to see. This became true in my marriage. The more I discovered, the more I struggled to comprehend my own foolishness. Another saying rang true. Sometimes it's better not to dig for secrets because what you find might shatter the truths you thought you knew. After a week of extensive investigation, I confirmed Vanessa's sexual relationship with the gardener. 2 days ago, I came home to find the living room in disarray, my wife's underwear, and the gardener's boxers on the floor. After sneaking into the backyard, I witnessed them engaging in the taboo act. Instead of reacting immediately, I chose to gather my thoughts as a lawyer, focused on planning a revenge that would not let them off the hook easily. The first 24 hours after discovering this truth were tough, but I realized it wasn't my responsibility to make excuses for Vanessa's choices. I don't need to understand why she cheated. What matters is that it's wrong. My main focus is to plan a revenge that will leave a lasting impact on her. While their betrayal disgusts me, I believe my wife deserves most of the revenge. Despite the employer-employee relationship with the gardener, I don't plan to fire him immediately. I want him to keep working for me, unaware of the consequences that await him. My wife, a housewife for the past 5 years, has not only been lazy but also unfaithful. I may not be able to shame the shameless, but I can certainly disrupt her peace. I have no intention of firing the gardener soon. I want him to experience the consequences of his actions when the time is right. Currently, I find myself comfortably writing this in my room, clad in sweatpants at 5:01 p.m. Vanessa, my wife, has gone out under the guise of buying groceries, but I am well aware of her true intentions. Given that the gardener only works twice a week, on Sundays and Thursdays, it implies that Vanessa doesn't have ample opportunities to meet her new lover as frequently as she desires. Hence, she consistently leaves the house for groceries almost every day. Through thorough investigation, I've discerned that Vanessa rendezvoused with the gardener at his residence during these grocery runs. It is not my intention to interfere or persuade her to end her relationship with the gardener. In fact, I want them to continue their relationship without interference. For the implementation of my plan, it is extremely important that they meet regularly. Therefore, I decided to ensure that the gardener comes 4 times a week. I will offer to double his salary for such an increased frequency. My motive behind this is to give them enough time together to allow my plan to come to fruition. I understand that Vanessa would try to hide any hints about their relationship and resist the temptation of frequent meetings. However, I am sure that over time she will relax her vigilance, succumbing to temptation. It is important for me to take my time, because I am determined to ensure that I get out of this marriage without parting with a single cent. As a lawyer, I understand the intricacies of divorce settlement, and since Vanessa was a housewife throughout our 5-year marriage, the odds were initially in her favor. However, I am determined to change these odds in my favor. The first trap has been set, and I'm sure Vanessa will fall into it. The gardener gladly agreed to come 4 times a week. I wonder if he thinks I'm not noticing anything just because he's been having an affair with my wife for months, maybe even years, and I've been in the dark. The gardener seems inexcusably bold in his forbidden actions, making 4 weekly visits to take care of non-existent vegetation, weeds, or flowers in my house. It is unclear whether he is stupid or ignorant. Any sane person would understand that he is receiving double wages for no apparent reason. Speaking of his salary, I am not actually paying him twice as much. In fact, I have stopped payments since last week, informing him of my intention to pay off the balance within 2 months. Surprisingly, he agreed without hesitation, reinforcing my suspicions. There is another concern: the possibility that Vanessa is stealing from me, using my money to support her secret lover. This suspicion takes on force given Vanessa's unemployed status. She relies solely on the money I allocate for her upkeep and household expenses. I am convinced that she is sending funds to the gardener. This is the only logical explanation for the fact that he agreed to work without pay for 2 months. I even promised an extra $50 for his supposed patience. When I'm done dealing with both of them, not a single penny of my hard-earned money will be left at their disposal. I work hard, and the betrayal by 2 people surviving off my sweat and hard work is absolutely disgusting. I find it unbearable that they bite the hand that feeds them, especially when they have no source of income. After 2 weeks of stubbornly resisting the temptation to meet her lover at home, Vanessa finally relaxed her guard. She was stupid enough to bring a gardener to my house. Considering that she doesn't have a dollar to her name, my contempt for housewives who betray their husbands increases. Although I usually don't shame women who choose the profession of housewives, I find it extremely disrespectful when they comfortably consume someone's food while cheating right under their husband's nose. Vanessa's actions have reduced my respect for such housewives. My wife had the audacity to bring her lover to my house and engage in intimate activities with him. Although I expected her to let down her guard, I never expected her to stoop so low. Where is the respect, especially in my own backyard? Yes, the backyard, which had been their secret meeting place for a long time. Initially, I discovered that Vanessa and the gardener were using the backyard as their usual place. However, like typical scammers, Vanessa decided to move to a more extravagant place, my own living room. All these incidents happened while I was at work, and my suspicions prompted me to quietly hire an installation specialist. He installed hidden surveillance cameras all over the house, and I don't think this is an invasion of privacy in my own home. The footage shows Vanessa and the gardener doing intimate things in my living room, and even in the kitchen. I used to be surprised by burnt pots, but now I know that they could have caused a fire. I don't care if they get careless and hurt themselves. If they survive, they should buy me another house with their belongings. The purpose of the video is to have leverage over Vanessa, especially if she demands alimony. I am adamant that I will not give her a cent of my hard-earned money. I mentioned earlier that I hired someone to seduce the gardener, and I have already enlisted the help of a woman for this job. It wasn't easy to convince someone to do this task, but as a lawyer, I have friends with connections who can arrange such things. While these people usually get vital information undercover, I convinced one of them to carry out this plan. The success of this revenge depends on this scheme, and I have invested a significant amount to ensure that its implementation goes according to plan. The purpose of someone seducing the gardener is simple. I want him to cheat on Vanessa, a form of karmic payback. I aim to leave her without anyone to turn to for comfort when I'm done with her, even her so-called little gardener. The woman I hired is professional and focused on doing the job for full pay. I chose her specifically because I wanted someone to be committed to the cause without any emotional attachments. This is important to avoid any unwanted complications that may arise. I decided to keep the identity of the agent I hired secret to ensure her safety. I call her PP for anonymity, because she is a recognizable agent. I shared with her all the necessary details to maintain secrecy and efficiency, including complete information about the gardener and his schedule. To find out his daily routine outside my house, I had to hire a private investigator, going to extreme lengths for the sake of efficiency. PP needed his schedule to arrange a meeting that looked natural and unplanned. Although I do not know if they will become close, I express the hope that they will do so. I informed PP that if intimacy occurred, I would need photographs, stressing that they should not be explicit. Only their faces, It is assumed that these photos will become part of the evidence attached to the divorce documents that will be sent to Vanessa. PP has started her work, and although I'm not rushing her, I've set a deadline. 2 months before I have to pay the gardener's salary. One more note. To understand the whole point, do we have children? My answer is no. Unfortunately, we had 3 miscarriages during our marriage, which is why our doctor advised us to refrain from further attempts due to the potential risk to her health. This difficult period affected our mental health, which prompted therapy. Our therapist recommended following the doctor's recommendations, and 2 years have passed since then. Despite the fact that Vanessa was considering surrogacy, during a recent dinner, Vanessa surprisingly mentioned that she was ready for surrogacy. This angered me considering what she is doing behind my back. Such thoughts of hers only fuel me more to realize the desire for revenge. Searching for a reliable surrogate for our child. Yes, you read that correctly. The sheer hypocrisy and deceit in Vanessa's request for surrogacy while engaging in infidelity is beyond comprehension. Perhaps she perceives me as a gullible individual who would willingly have a child with someone cheating so brazenly, even with the gardener. Although she remains unaware of my discovery, the extent of a woman's despicability is astonishing when she schemes to blindside her husband into parenthood while involved with another man. Knowing Vanessa's scheme, I'd rather face dire consequences than fulfill any of her twisted dreams. There's a substantial possibility she aims to frame me with the gardener's child. While paternity is typically unquestioned in a marriage, I refuse to have a child with a woman who has deceived me for months. Grateful that Vanessa disclosed her surrogacy plans, it reveals her intent to bind me in this marriage for potential child support in case of a divorce. Knowing her intentions prompts me to be swift and smart, staying ahead of her plans. However, if she decides to carry the pregnancy herself, the divorce process may prolong. My priority is to act swiftly to expedite the divorce proceedings, leaving no stone unturned. After 3 weeks, I'm back, and the time has been a blur, dealing with the challenges of being an ideal married man, despite having a cheating wife with the gardener. I've kept vigilant, sometimes wanting to confront Vanessa or fire the gardener, but my focus remains on getting the revenge I deserve. A significant development is PP, the lady I hired, getting close to the gardener. Surprisingly, he expressed being single and uninterested in a relationship, delighting me with the denial Vanessa received. PP gathered evidence, recording conversations, and capturing pictures of them kissing. Vanessa will receive these materials as divorce evidence instead of alimony. Over the past 3 weeks, I consulted friends and lawyer colleagues to strategize on divorcing Vanessa without monetary implications. Her 5-year role as a housewife complicates matters, creating an illusion of sacrificing her professional career. It's essential to clarify that I never insisted Vanessa become a housewife. It was entirely her decision, and she made it independently. Initially, she didn't even have a job before our marriage, so I don't see her sacrifice in any way. My friends and I spent days searching for a compelling argument in case Vanessa decided to pursue alimony. Despite crafting a substantial plan, my friend drafted a separate set of divorce papers explicitly stating that Vanessa would waive her right to alimony. My friends advised me to have Vanessa sign those papers promptly. However, convincing her to sign them would be challenging, as she isn't aware of my knowledge about her secret affair. If she sees the papers indicating she'd forfeit alimony, she might guess my intentions, and I don't want to reveal my strategy. After days of contemplation, I devised a plan to collect both the divorce papers and the ones relinquishing alimony from Vanessa. Even though I've formulated this plan, I'm aware of the difficulty in making her sign. To address this, I've decided to lace her drink, acknowledging that it might be perceived as the wrong course of action. Nonetheless, I view it as my only option, given Vanessa's infidelity. I don't feel obligated to be fair, considering the unfairness of her actions towards me. Knowing her habit of having a drink after rendezvous with the gardener, I plan to use that routine to my advantage. I have video footage of their encounters, revealing the gardener's ongoing visits, despite Vanessa's involvement with someone else. I'm uncertain about the dynamics between Vanessa and the gardener, as my sister reported they were getting serious. Regardless, my focus is on executing my plan. In the following update, I successfully laced Vanessa's drink, and she fell into my trap. Studying her routine, I identified her preference for a particular wine, which I laced. She consumed it as predicted, and within 30 minutes, she became unconscious. Armed with CCTV footage and a meticulous plan, I entered the house, extracted the papers, and attempted to obtain her thumbprint. This process was challenging, but my determination fueled my revenge. Unable to make her sign due to her unconscious state, I signed both sets of papers myself in the car. When I returned home in the evening, Vanessa was furious, likely realizing she had been drugged. However, I wasn't concerned as my planned actions were already executed. I cannot adequately express Vanessa's reaction. Returning from work that day, I distinctly recall the fury in Vanessa's eyes. She resembled a predator seeking its prey. Despite the immediate urge to laugh, I contained my amusement, eager to see her reaction. As anticipated, she erupted, hurling accusations and objects at me. Her immediate accusations stemmed from thumbprints, evidence clearly imprinted on her fingers, a result of her actions. Though I possessed a solution to cleanse the marks, I deliberately withheld it. I desired her to confront the marks, spending hours deciphering their origin. Amidst our heated exchange, Vanessa, after moments of internal deliberation, questioned the meaning of the marks on her fingers. Without explanation, I tossed a photocopy of the divorce agreement and alimony file at her. The shock and confusion on her face were memorable. She seemed as though the world had crumbled beneath her. Envisioning her reaction, I never anticipated it to be so intense. Reveling in every moment, I watched as her eyes widened, attempting to piece together the unfolding puzzle. When comprehension dawned, she screamed and hurled insults, resembling a frenzied individual. On that day, I abandoned my initial plan of remaining silent. Unleashing a barrage of demeaning remarks, I relished in making her cry before leaving her distraught in the living room. Swiftly, I proceeded upstairs, discarding her clothes without hesitation, relishing the satisfaction of watching her pack shamelessly. Weeks before, witnessing Vanessa confidently occupying my space and wandering guilt-free tormented me. However, the comfort derived from the meticulously planned revenge alleviated my agony. Throwing those items at her symbolized the triumph I sought. Vanessa attempted a victimizing narrative, expressing remorse, but I dismissed her words, unwilling to listen to a shameless cheater. Before she departed that night, I ensured to inform PP, who was at the gardener's rented apartment, that Vanessa might visit. I instructed PP to have the gardener send her away and to present herself as his girlfriend. Additionally, I directed Tina to deliver a set of carefully curated pictures to Vanessa, portraying the gardener and PP in intimate poses. Waiting 2 hours after Vanessa's departure, I contacted PP, learning that Vanessa indeed went to the gardener's apartment. As predicted, PP succeeded in having her dismissed, sharing the incriminating pictures. Vanessa's emotional breakdown upon viewing them was detailed by PP, but I paid little attention to the rest of the story. Subsequently, PP distanced herself from the gardener, completing her assigned task. Following Vanessa's visit, I confronted the gardener, leveraging the footage and images to coerce him. I threatened to expose the materials to his family, friends, and prospective employers unless he complied with my demands. Unless he revealed Vanessa's bank PIN, I found out that Vanessa had given him her card for unrestricted use. Initially resistant, the gardener yielded when I threatened to expose his affair with his previous employer's wife, jeopardizing his future employment prospects. With Vanessa's card and PIN, I withdrew the remaining $1,000 from her account, considering it minimal compensation for what she took from me. I neglected to pay the gardener's outstanding wages for 2 months, and he wisely refrained from demanding it. 2 days after the withdrawal, Vanessa, accompanied by her parents, visited my house. Despite their pleas, I refused, declaring the end of the marriage due to her infidelity with the gardener. Despite attempts at resolution, Vanessa accused me of theft and coercion, claiming I forced her to sign alimony forfeiture papers. Threatening to expose video footage and pictures of her with the gardener, I warned of tarnishing her reputation if she resisted the divorce. I insisted on a no-settlement divorce and alimony forfeiture in court. Unwilling to accept my terms, Vanessa's parents saw incriminating pictures and persuaded her to agree. Before Vanessa left, I handed her the recordings of the gardener, denying her accusations. In her anger, she attempted to retaliate, but her parents intervened, dragging her out of the house. I no longer cared about her relationship with the gardener. My focus was on making life difficult for both of them. I successfully retrieved 2 months' salary from the gardener, reclaimed $1,000, and secured a stress-free divorce with no alimony settlement. The entire process, guided by the advice and suggestions from all of you, provided sanity throughout. Grateful for your input, I bid farewell and returned to rebuilding my life and career. This revenge was undoubtedly satisfying for me.